In 2017, Aev released its Colorado ZR2 Bison. In 2019, GM officially announced its production. And here we are in 2020, and we're going to walk you through why we chose to go with the ZR2 Bison and what makes this a great expedition option. Let's go ahead and start from the front, guys, and move our way back. So this is the Aev Bumper, and right off the bat, guys, it is steel. It does offer a ton of protection. GM and Aev both kind of put it through its paces as far as crash testing, which is unlike any other aftermarket company out there. The fact that they can say that they crashed 11 trucks just to get the perfect formula for this bumper really says a lot about a company. This bumper is also winch ready. Behind the license plate here, there is a spot to put a winch, but does require an Aev winch kit in order to be properly installed. We will be doing that sometime down the line. As far as right now, we wanted to focus more on the alternative mods to get us out there. This front hoop did not come with the bumper. Originally, this had a silver filler plate. This is an option from Aev, so it does need to be bought separately. What also makes this bumper very unique to the ZR2 platform is the fact that it's the only ZR2 that has fog lights. Normally, the other ZR2s have a small opening that allows for more clearance when you're going off-road, but this one actually comes with fog lights. And another thing that they did was they allowed for a off-road specific fog light. In this case, we went with the Baja Designs Squadron XL, and it's been an incredible light. There's other options as well, and Aev does have a specific list on their website. However, you will need their specific bracket, which can also be found on their website. So this is not going to be a straight up bolt-on mod. You will have to acquire that bracket in order to make this work. Let's talk about suspension real quick, guys. The ZR2 platform comes with DSSB Multimatic Position Sensitive Spool Valve shocks. Now that is a mouthful, but for good reason. So these shocks handle off-road and on-road terrain incredibly well. I mean, you really feel it, especially when you turn on corners. It just, the truck stays so planted and so controlled. On top of that, we decided to beef it up a little bit by converting them into coilovers via the Peak Suspension Coilover Conversion Kit. Now that kit is awesome because it actually allows you to choose between different spring rates. Now we decided to go with diesel springs because this truck does have the 2.8 Duramax diesel. Now the other thing we did do was we beefed up the tie rods by means of this tie rod sleeve, also from Peak Suspension. Another awesome feature of the Peak Suspension Coilover kit, guys, is the fact that it actually comes with iBox springs. Now when this kit is paired together with the DSSV dampeners, it really makes this truck come alive, especially at speed going off-road. Now let's talk about tires real quick. So from the factory, this actually does come with a 31-inch Duratrack tire. However, for our needs, we needed something that had a little bit more sidewall. So we kept the factory wheels because we love these Aev Bison wheels. So what we ended up going with was a 285/70 R17, and it roughly equates to a 33-inch tire, guys. And what it also allowed us to do was keep the factory gearing for now. Because this is a diesel, it has no issues at all turning this tire, whether it's off-road or on-road. All right, so we also decided to go with the Aev snorkel. Now we did this for several reasons. One, because it's cool, let's be honest. This pre-cleaner look that Aev went with is very unique to this specific snorkel. The Aev snorkel is a factory option, so if you guys do decide that this is something that you want, you can actually go to the dealership and spec it out, price it out, and have them install it. So some of the benefits that we gain by having this high raised air intake, guys, is getting clean air into the engine bay. And we also decided to top it off with the Cyclone pre-cleaner. And what this actually does is there's a little turbine in here that's spinning a lot of the air that's going in. And as it's spinning, a lot of the debris is actually being extracted. Now moving along, so we did incorporate communications into this truck. And it was very important for us because as a team, we need to be able to communicate with each other when something does come up or when we're experiencing some type of technical failure with the vehicles. So what we have here is the Midland Ghost antenna, and the way I mounted that, guys, was via a ditch light bracket from Cali Raised. Now the radio we did go with was the MTX275, and the reason we went with that radio, guys, is because all the controls are on the PTT itself. So it's actually a very efficient way to either change channels or to change the privacy settings. We just saw it as the best efficient thing to put in the truck. All right, let's talk about these rock sliders real quick, guys. So these are what GM calls rock sliders, and for the most part they do an awesome job of protecting the undercarriage. However, these are body mounted, so as much as I want to believe in GM products like this, I know that over time these things are going to take a beating. So as far as rock sliders, functional rock sliders, we are going to be looking into other options. One, so we can actually use it as a step to get in and out of the truck or to get onto the roof rack. And two, because frame mounted rock sliders are a better option moving down the road. Now moving up to the top, this is a Prinzu Studios roof rack. For the Colorado, you will have to drill through your roof in order to install it. And let me tell you guys, this was not an easy install. The front section here, these front two holes that you have to drill out for this front mount is actually hardened steel on top of another layered steel. So these holes are going to be very, very difficult to drill through. That's just something that you guys should be aware of if you're going to be doing this to your Colorado. The storage and real estate that this allowed us to have is amazing. Now we did go for the 40-inch light bar fair lead. It is an option from Prinzu, it does not come standard. And we also went with their light bar brackets, which were awesome because they allowed us to mount our light bar flush with the crossbars, which, as you can see with our road shower, it's perfect because it's longer than the light bar itself, so it's actually sitting on top of that thing. Moving on, we also have our Max Tracks mounted to the top. That's a great place to store those things because, as you'll see here in a minute, all the real estate on our Lightner Designs rack is completely filled. So this is the road shower 4, and this is the 7-gallon tank. And paired with the shower enclosure, this makes for a great viable solution to taking showers while off-grid. So having a shower system on your vehicle, it actually, for those long trips, it actually makes for an awesome solution when it comes to cleaning up. So there's different shower methods that people take. People usually like to bring baby wipes and whatnot. However, we got tired of that, guys, and after a while it's not the same as taking an actual shower. So again, this system makes for an awesome way for a family or a couple, or even just if you're by yourself and you like to keep clean, this is an awesome solution for that. So moving on to the back, guys, this is a great shot of the Lightner Designs ACS rack, and what makes this an awesome rack is its modularity. Now, Lightner Designs' slogan is "Carry your world," and that's exactly what we did, guys. Now, on top of this rack is our 2030 Walkabout 62 Rooftop Tent, and the way we've mounted it to the actual Lightner Designs rack is using their dedicated rooftop tent brackets. Now, another feature of the Lightner Designs rack is the ability to still use your bed. And the way that they do that is this crossbar right here is actually slidable. So you can actually slide this whole thing all the way to the front if you don't have a rooftop tent mounted. That's awesome, especially if you have mountain bikes or dirt bikes and you still want access or need that access to your bed. So we also mounted lights to the rear of the rack. We knew that we wanted some sort of scene light so that when we're around camp, we have a way to illuminate our surroundings. But I also wanted a chase light, and that's exactly what I used, these KC Highlight Cyclone lights. As you can also see, I actually used another set of KC Cyclone lights as dedicated work lights here in the bed. Now, what we love about this rack, guys, is the fact that dry, which means without these accessories, this rack comes in at about 73 pounds. That's the lightest bed rack we could possibly find, and on top of that, this thing is engineered so well that we have no issues at all carrying all the stuff that you see on here. Now, what I do want to talk to you guys about is the Lightner Designs XL Pod. So this is a pod, this is an accessory directly from Lightner. So what this is, guys, is a lockable and seal tight storage box. And I love it because, again, you can lock it. But check out all this real estate that's in here. I mean, you could put a number of things in here. It's great for that. And again, it's completely sealed, as you can see right here. This is a very high quality seal. And again, just the ability to be able to close this up, lock it, and not have to worry about somebody breaking in and stealing your things. So on this side of the Lightner rack, you guys can see what we've mounted. We mounted a 2-gallon Rotopax, and we mounted a 2-gallon diesel Rotopax. And the fact that we have this, guys, it means that for those 2 gallons and with the efficiency of this engine, we can get at least 40 miles of fuel range with just these 2 gallons, which is pretty incredible. Moving down, we also have the Lightner gear pod. It's just a really small version of the XL, and it's perfect for, let's say, camera gear or recovery gear. I was actually using it for recovery gear, but again, it is a sealed proof storage container box, and it's just great to have for those things that you just don't want in the cabin of the truck. Another thing I want to touch on real quick is all this is interchangeable. We can mount this however which way we want. That's one of the beautiful things about this rack is its modularity and where you can place things. You're not limited to where you can put things. Now, another awesome mod, guys, that we really have come to appreciate and like is our decked drawer system. And we've just, at first, we really didn't know what to put in these things, but then over time, as we took more trips and we utilized this space a little bit more, we've kind of narrowed down what we like to use these things for. We love the features of this deck system. The drawers themselves are waterproof, seal tight, all that good stuff, guys. The only thing that they can't do is protect against fine particles such as fine mist or fine sand and dirt. These drawers, each one can hold about 200 pounds. That's a lot of weight. Obviously, we're not gonna try to go anywhere near that. But it's nice to be able to load this thing up without having to worry about how much stuff is in there. Now, on top of the 200 weight capacity for the drawers, on top of the deck system itself, you can put up to 2,000 pounds of weight without this suffering any kind of failure at all. And this is a polymer reinforced material, which makes it very durable against the elements. Now, we did end up modifying this system just to accommodate our needs. We knew we were going to be spending a lot of time back here with cooking and getting things out of these drawers. So I knew this was going to be kind of like the centralized part of camp. So what I did was I ran a 12-volt auxiliary panel with USBs and a 12-volt socket. And I also ran a digital gauge to tell me how much voltage I have in the battery left. On top of that, I also ran a switch for the KC Cyclones I have mounted above here on the cross rail. And I did that so that at night I could simply turn this light on and it would illuminate the drawers and its contents. Now, I did end up relocating my air fitting because I didn't want to have to open the hood every single time I aired up the tires. So what I did was I ended up relocating this air fitting to the rear because I was already going to be reaching for my driver's side drawer, as it has all my recovery equipment such as my hoses and whatnot. So now the whole purpose of this was to be more efficient with how we did things. Now, this is the Aev Rear Bumper. It does feature recovery points, and this is good for a 3/4 inch shackle as well as a location to mount off-road lighting. And specifically, we went with the Baja Squadron Sports. You can mount rigids, you can't mount, I think Vision X also has options, but we decided just to stick with the Baja Designs lights just because that's our personal preference. You do have to acquire a bracket from Aev, which you can find on the website again. Kind of like the front, you will need that bracket in order to mount these lights. From the factory, these holes are covered up by just a little plastic plate. Now, what also makes this bumper great, guys, is that it features this almost like a rock slider for the rear bumper, and it's awesome because it's actually tied to the frame of the truck as well as to the bumper and the recovery points. So altogether, it just makes for one awesome solid piece of equipment in order to protect your truck or the bed of your truck from damage. That was one of my favorite features of this truck, is the fact that they just took their time to protect you from obstacles such as large rocks and that type of thing. Now in the rear suspension, in order to hold all the weight we've put on the truck, we decided to simply go with an add-a-leaf from Peak Suspension as well. We were going to upgrade originally to the Old Man Emu springs, however our budget just wasn't all that there, so that is something that we will look into in the future. But another thing that we did change was the bump stop. We weren't satisfied at all with the factory bump stop and how harsh it actually dampened everything. So we upgraded to the Timbren active off-road bump stops, and it's been extremely smooth hitting potholes or going through washboard roads, as well as, you know, the surprise ruts in the road. All right guys, so it was a little hard to show you with the other camera, but we did install these shock skid plates because from factory the shock location for the ZR2 on the axle is terrible. This is one of the things that really turned me off from the truck itself, was how low this thing hangs. So what will happen inevitably, you will, when you go off-road and go through obstacles and rocks and such, you will damage this guy. So one of the things that you have to do, one of the first things that I would recommend any ZR2 owner do, is get a set of these shock skid plates. Now this set specifically is from 589 fabrication, and we absolutely love them. Okay. Now under the hood of this Colorado, we have the Duramax 2.8 turbo diesel. And this is huge, guys. For a mid-sized truck to feature a diesel engine, this is something everybody's been waiting for. So this engine does put out 369 pound-feet of torque and 180 horsepower. You really can't tell that it's that underpowered, but this torque is absolutely amazing. Some of the other mods that we have in here controlling our off-road lights is our Switch Pro SP9100. And it's awesome, guys, because it allows us to do so many different things with all the lights that we've mounted on here. Everything from strobing to signaling to dimming. This thing can do it all, and it does it very, very cleanly. Now connected to the Switch Pro is our Arb Twin Air Compressor. That thing has been a game changer, guys, for the fact that I can not only air up our tires, but I can also air up anybody else that's with us' tires as well, because it has a 100% duty cycle. Now, how we mounted the ARB compressor was via the 589 fabrication ARB compressor mount. So if you guys are thinking about doing this to your Colorado, you're gonna definitely need to acquire that mount in order to fit that thing underneath the coolant reservoir. Moving on into the interior, we didn't do a ton of mods, guys. We just kept it pretty simple, pretty basic, and to the point. One of the biggest mods that we did do to the inside was the Valhalla Off-Road Research Molly panels for the center console. So this just allowed me another way to do that, essentially, and keep things efficient inside the cabin of the truck. Holding my phone is the ram mount with the suction cup to the windshield. There's not a lot of options currently for the Colorado as far as a way to mount the 1-inch balls for the ram mounts. So until then, I'm just gonna continue to use the suction cup mount for my phone. Another detailed mod that I did do was I did end up changing the stock ZR2 shift knob to the Blazer shift knob because I wanted something a little bit more cleaner. The actual T-handle knob was a little outdated. It felt a little outdated to me, so I looked online and I saw on the forums that people were doing this to their trucks. I did it for myself, and I'm really happy I did. Now, another deciding factor of us acquiring this truck, along with, you know, it being completely outfitted for exploration, was the fact that it comes with a front and rear locker, as well as, because it's a diesel truck, it comes with a diesel exhaust brake, as well as downhill descent control. Now, another thing that you also get is a trailer brake controller, which is also a nice feature. Another interior mod that we did to the truck was we installed a Weboost Inreach signal booster. And if you guys aren't familiar with what that is, essentially all it is a repeater for cell phone signals. So if you're out in the middle of nowhere and there's a little bit of cell phone coverage, what it does is it pulls all that in and allows you to make, like, let's say, an emergency phone call. However, it does not generate its own signal, so you do need a little bit of coverage for this to work. Now, behind my rear seat, we also have a Grayman Tactical RMP Molly panel, and I went with Grayman Tactical because I love how rigid it is. It's not like those other seat covers that you'll see on Amazon that are fabric. Those tend to flex a lot, and you know, they tend to make a lot of noise, and also you can't really put things that require a little bit more support on there. So another deciding factor to this, guys, was the fact that this truck actually comes with underbelly skid plates, and it's not just any type of material. Aev actually went in and designed the skid plates out of boron steel, which essentially it's a fancy word for extremely hardened steel. I think it's 5 times the strength of normal steel, which allowed them to go extremely thin, yet it's very, very, very strong. And on top of that, one of the perks of going extremely thin is the truck stays pretty light. So the Bison over a normal Colorado is actually 200 to 400 pounds heavier, which is awesome. For all the protection, it's actually extremely light for what it is. Thank you guys for watching our walk around of our ZR2 Bison. Join us on our Shakedown Series finale as we put our team skills to the test in the desolate desert of Southwest Texas.
In the meantime, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be alerted of our upcoming videos.